Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. Think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but numberless times. All mother sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering, due to mistakenly engaging with objects of adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In our minds, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mother sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and the causes of excellent happiness that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and its causes. I will cause them to have excellent happiness and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all sufferings and the causes of sufferings that are non-virtues. May they be free from all suffering and the causes of suffering. I'll free them from all suffering and the causes of suffering. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms? I should take the responsibility to free all other sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms. Even though I should take the responsibility, I do not have the ability to place them in the state of perfect, complete enlightenment now. Who has such abilities? Only those who have achieved the state of perfect, complete enlightenment have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment.
이제 터질 때는 사실 공부도 마셔. 여기 내비 세분도 받고 여기 민가 다이 쪽으로 수는 넘버 지는 쪽. 그래서 이제 무슨 공부를 해서 세로 지는 쪽. 저기 있어. 여기 민가 다이 쪽. 데이트 로지컬 세로 넘버 지는 쪽. 사실 어떻게 생각하시죠?
Next we generate all-encompassing yoga mind, the aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. These transform into the aspect of a complete mundis at one's heart. And the ultimate bodhicitta, which is one's mind becoming of one taste with the emptiness of inherent existence of all phenomena. These transform into the aspect of a white 5-pronged vajra on top of the mundis.
이제 덕분에 좀 뭐 지나. 다들 때문에 지금 두고 차는 지금 좀 다케는 그 있는 거 아마 뭐 지지지는 기와 되는 데 내시는 추세 내 맞이보다 최근 지는지 덕분에 많이 지금 좀
Next, we meditate on the meaning of emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently one. If they were inherently one, they would necessarily be established as partless one. If they were partless one, there would be false. It would be pointless to assert a self. Self would become many. Self would arise and disintegrate. It would be unreasonable to remember past lives. Karma one has done would be wasted. One would meet with karma that one has not done. Therefore, the self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently one. The self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently different. If they were inherently different, they would necessarily be established as unrelatedly others. Therefore, the self and the aggregates neither exists as inherently one nor inherently different, hence is empty of inherent existence.
India's most of the kids are considered so pretty to move in the next 2 years, which was sort of one of the points, but she didn't know some of the she had to say that yes, I was a question, but it's still not a divide. You had to have each of the side. Also, yeah, you know, the Jimmy 20, then there's almost a Chevina. That the echo of the kids in the question is.
It's very important to conjoin the roots of virtues of our three doors with the practice of six perfections. Thus, to conjoin these roots of virtue with the practice of six perfections is as follows. The first one is generosity. The nature of generosity is an intention of giving. These roots of virtue of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma is for the arising of happiness and purifying the sufferings of all sentient beings. If I engage in this way, based on the manifestations of the intentions of giving, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of generosity.
What did you the points of what you was in the machine? That one that yes, I was a Jimmy was in the lobby, Jimmy, but so of money. Yes, I was a Chevina. But the echo of the good it's by minutes. Yes.
Next is morality. The nature of morality is a mind of abandonment. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal misdeeds without allowing them to manifest. If I engage in this manner, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of morality.
What do you do? Truly say that the city was my machine. When the example of Jebala, when the Lisela, the way the Kali Katichuna, if not only said to be money, as I was a Chevina, it was a better simple yes.
Next is patience. The nature of patience is a mind that is undisturbed. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, I will patiently endure any suffering or hardships of my body and my mind. If I engage in this manner, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of patience.
What all of two is about the most of the machine. And yes, I go to Shebala, the Gawada 2 20, and yes, I go to the Zenis of Mina. But the echoes of Gazette, it's in Shibajin.
Next is joyous effort. The nature of joyous effort is a mind that is enthusiastic for virtue. I will joyfully and enthusiastically engage in the roots of virtue of listening, contemplation, and meditation on the Dharma. If I engage in this manner, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of joyous effort.
Assim, para dizer que do nearby, essa onde most of my machine. And yes, I would choose any example because said it not what a 9 or the commando. You have both the GBP short and a passing in between as I was a Chevina. But the echoes of Gazette, something by analysis.
Next is concentration. The nature of concentration is a mind that single-pointedly focuses on virtuous object. I will single-pointedly focus my mind on the virtuous activity of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma without being overcome by distraction and discursive thoughts.
缺了当地就是把它给了就我什么东西，那年上过是这个吃的太看的的话，进就买了把呀，不就些多个你就买呢，这个是别的些的快的嘛，是那样子。
Last one is wisdom. The nature of wisdom is a knower that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. I will properly and unmistakenly understand the words and meanings of the Dharma that I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on. If I'm able to engage in this manner, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of wisdom.
而且是呢，长期点的上级的公报的话，第一次的问题上不是经，当地确实，这个上级公报的第一件，当地确实，那原来最近的经历开始就能看到他们啥都是可能这个是。
Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy teaching and practice properly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Посвятить свой билет, 누가 делать форс-друа, так люба очень не сложно гимнадосали. Читал на люди पे больше друа. Изи вагдад, даже на учебный я гол себе друа. Там как бы честно, так а ну себе где нужно делать. Не нужно делать. Когда это возможно. И как нужно делать. Мы шили друа. Там was dinner more so that contributions machine is what.
So we are going to continue with connecting the explanations of the three, enlightenment and so forth, to scriptures. So regarding this, correlating the specific point with scriptures, and since there are many scriptural citations here, so it's quite difficult to understand. So I will briefly go through the citation, scriptural citation.
When it comes to the Jordan Dome, when they learn the Yanda about the Chan, you want the person, Kavala, no Bujituma. Adacha, Sipa, the young individual, Stardust, that's love because it's a river. It's still a that's the mean number. Yes, I could have had it.
So, here it says, Bhagavan, perfect and complete enlightenment, naturally purified and the exhaustion of all adventitious defilements, is the destination for the sphere of Nirvana. So previously I have already explained the meaning of destinations here. So this destination here means that it's a different term or a different name for something. And it says, Bhagavan, the sphere of Nirvana, accessing the two purities, is a destination for the Dhammakaya of the Tathāgata. So this is connecting the excellent qualities with connecting the excellent qualities to scripture. In other words, is correlating the excellent qualities with scriptures. So here, when we talk about the qualities, and there are the excellent qualities that we have mentioned, and there are a total of 64 excellent qualities. there are 32 of qualities of separations, and there are 32 qualities of fruition as well. So that makes 64 excellent qualities. So this is connecting the excellent qualities to practice. So I think it's fine just to keep it short.
我的这两个对这个都是同个的思维，刚才的我只教为上去是送了只教的，关于的所谓的途径的身体哇，
可能，
所以我觉得，那是继续样就是蛮不的话，那关于的是的途径的是，就是嘛，就是咱们嘛学的是吧，也必须，当然这个也蛮不习惯的，继续蛮不可能讲的，
So this is the brief explanations on the excellent qualities, because if we were to extensively explain these qualities of the Tathāgatas, then it can be again divided into three: the excellent qualities of holy body, speech, and mind.
那这就是我说职业中的教法是么的话，咱职业的看到啊，咱职业是呢看到的那么个人的是吧？上去职业说，职业说的那么个人小我是觉得可是身体我去的话，如果是呢那么个人小起来，那这个是我可能去。
那啲龍嘅骨嗰啲龍能教人嘢咯，你學菜唔
我之类的吧，这个叫这个吧，那之类的对我了，那这两个的原则是之类的，我他妈把这个聊是吧，那龙岗个两毛个去是吧，那之类的叫我是在讲的，那之类的我可能那么个小起来，那情况，是那么个小啊，可是这两个是学校的之类情况的，那的这个事情做什么？那的这个这个可是真的去了什么？
很注意到啦。
那的这个来继续在的。也可是调上去嘛，
那么高位，
那么盖小的，但是我也是最少的。
So next one is connecting the explanations of enlightened activities to scripture. So when we talk about these enlightened activities, the nature of enlightened activities is those wholesome things. So, and in the context of 70 topics, and I've briefly mentioned about it. I've mentioned about it, and in previous class, and I also mentioned about these enlightened activities, the nature of enlightened activities.
但之类的呢，我就把必要的，小人的学包括了你开始学的话，那是必须的的话，必须的。他把第是把结尾的之类的，在电视学的话，
社會要嚟要，社會要嚟，
社會要嚟，之類的學包括了之類是你有講的。
So when we talk about these enlightened activities can be divided into two: the enlightened activities that exist in the object, and the enlightened activities that exist in the agent.
当之类的嘛，龙的家的嘛，等到学会就讲到，我之类的讲到，我这就是我的基本结果，他的嘛，但龙的家的嘛学会讲的，那时候他的经济主把基本结果，那等你，那时候等你，你能打。是说，对，是我的经济主把的基本结果的，那三级性结果之类的，那的话，三级性结果的，不管他经济主把的基本结果你去做的，是我个是这样对。
So when we talk about these enlightened activities, so basically, enlightened activities refers to Buddha's exalted activities, and these Buddha's exalted activities accomplishes spontaneously and uninterruptedly the welfare of all sentient beings. Spontaneously and uninterruptedly accomplishes the welfare of all sentient beings.
他讲的经济主把是这种啊。但这里说的嘛，对下来嘛，他们说基本上说，平常我第开始继续的那个进步的话，我看，这说的嘛是对下来嘛，哇，他讲的之类的都，因为经济主把是吧，现在的经济主把是现在的开始是吧，他三级学的这个嘛，必须全大多的话，学的吧，学的这个，他把这三级学的这个嘛，对下来嘛，来结尾的，对下的，这样的管理的，没办法管理的。那个没办法，那是他搞不起，谁不起？ 吧？别的确定了，看到没吧？你确定过了吧？看到没吧？肯定的，比较针对，对了，师傅，就是我说的，我们那个地方，现在上班了什么？是吧？现在上班了什么？肯定的，比较的，是吧？你这个上班了什么？还是正的，比较的，看对了是吧？啊，那你做没吧？是吧？是吧？对了，没做到对了对吧？你比较的，他没把看进去呢，我的，对吧？要毕业是没有。어때 드셔 가시나
시원한
드시고
답이래.
가시나 답이 뭐가 어때 들리 전에 드셔는데 샤워 아니 제국에나 백가다 소지 만도 요 그래서 소지 남바도 봐 때문에 막 이제는 이제 그래서 뭔가 되다 이제 이게 그거 아세요
So when we talk about these spontaneous enlightened activities, so when the Tathāgatas or Buddhas, such as Buddha Shakyamuni, so when Buddha Shakyamuni enacts the welfare of all, enacts the welfare of disciples, so having known the various mental dispositions and inclinations of disciples, then Buddha Shakyamuni manifests in Buddha Shakyamuni employs a different method, such as manifest in the enjoyment body, manifest in emanation body, or manifest into a boat, or manifest into a bridge, and so forth, without any exertion. So that is what it means by spontaneous enlightened activities. So Buddha enact the welfare of disciples, having known the various dispositions, mental dispositions, and inclinations of the disciples, then without any exertion, employ the method such as manifesting into into enjoyment body, into emanation body, or manifest into different objects such as boats, bridge, and so forth. And then enact. This is how Buddhas enact the welfare of disciples or of sentient beings. So this is a spontaneous enlightened activities without any exertion, spontaneously enact the welfare of disciples. So whether to perform the peaceful activities, or whether there are different types of activities, right? Such as the peaceful activities or the wrathful activities. So according to the disciples, then Buddha perform the relevant activities for those disciples without any exertion. So that is what it means by spontaneous.
我当时你就知道了，咱就没去吧，这有你的话，咱就没去吧，这点的话的，星期一天都过来，就是去把它呗，就没去吧，这你是别人的吧，你说吧，我觉得挺多。
So, and not only that, not only enlightened activities is spontaneous and is.
这的确呢，你是上帝就不过马上就把它就马上把它停的，停住吧，这个是吧？
有些人那什么
的确呢，的确呢，是吧？上帝就不过马上就把它就是这样，
So not only the enlightened activities, not only it is spontaneous, it is uninterrupted as well. So uninterrupted means that Buddhas enact the welfare of sentient beings until the end of secular existence. So in other words, until disciples attain the state of enlightenment, Buddha will uninterruptedly enact the welfare of sentient beings or disciples.
刚成立的时候，我是上帝已经成立是个为了吧？那上帝已经成立的时候，我是在神经里边了，神经看这个边了，上帝已经成立修行吧的时候，神经看这个边了，我上帝已经成立嘛，修个神经刚就要嘛的时候，然后神经里边了，上帝当我是神经里边了，上帝已经成立修嘛，是把早年要嘛，神经戒要嘛的时候，对不对？
And these Buddha's exalted activities or enlightened activities, because chin le mashu ba se de ni de yo de yo ta lo.
这个不是这个这个修嘛，是这个个神经是是了，为什么了？这个是吧？
Yeah. So, and the Buddha's enlightened activities exist in the continuums of all sentient beings.
那生气引心起来嘛，说，那上去就出来的，分生病，地方都起码是个戒王嘛，还是生气来哇，那生气引了嘛，说对，就是生气引了嘛，说대화 용 리치，대화 용 리치嘛都，대화 용嘛，你给生气早晚你要嘛是，
대화 용에
대화 용不差的意思，我去，对吧？生气引心起来，那被대화 용嘛，你给早晚你生气要嘛的是，대화 용你可以去差的。처음에 다 벌써 거다 좀 뭐라 신기나 대화 용 거지 내가 떠오는 용 많은 게 신기 강지요 말했어.
In other words, Buddha's enlightened activities engage all sentient beings, they engage or operates in the continuums of all sentient beings, and there is no there is no there isn't any continuum of sentient beings that is not operated. There is no there isn't any continuum in which Buddha's enlightened activities is not operate. So means that Buddha's enlightened activities operates in the continuum of all sentient beings. So as long as one is a sentient being, as long as one is a sentient being, then one have experienced happiness before. 대화 용용의 용어라 그죠?
용 정식이 뭐다. 용 많은 게 싸우는 요 말이야.
Yeah. So as long as it's a sentient beings, it must be someone who has been experienced happiness before. There isn't any sentient being who has not experienced happiness before.
대화 용 그지요. 이봐 송사 신기나 대화 용 보고 송사. 대화 용한테 저 바라게 좋아하는 저 대화를 되는 대화 용 와. 대화 질 때니. 그 대화 용한테 저 대화를 되는 좋아 와. 그 대화 때. 저 대화 때는 좋아 송사 신기 이 신기라. 대화 용 많이 그 지요 말에 대화 용 그래서 된다 대화 용한테 저 길을 되는 좋은 그래 저 대화를 되는 저 대화 때는 좀 봐서 나는 저 상진 틀에서 다다리고 개와 인신지라 그래서 이제 줄이 그래서
개와 인신지
개와 인신지라 그래서 이제 줄이 그래서 그래서 되게 넘어가 있어 되게 줄이 좀 오셔라 딱 개와 인신지라 그래서 이제 줄이 많이 그 요 말이었어
넘어가 있어 상 질리 뭐로
네 오셔라 딱 개와 인신지라 그래서 이제 상지
질리 거
그래서 근데 순서 딱 맞아 신치이나 너 많은 게 지자원이 요 말이었어 하디 이제 많이 좀 좋아지는 좋아지는
So we say that Buddha's enlightened activities operates in the continuum of all sentient beings, right? So as long as one is a sentient being, then it is necessary that one has experienced happiness before. So there is no sentient being who has not experienced before, right? So since sentient beings since as long as one is a sentient being, one has experienced happiness before, then how does this experience of happiness come from? It must depend on the cause, right? So what cause is it? And that cause is a virtuous cause. So sentient beings experience happiness based on the virtuous cause. So that's why this virtuous cause and this is kasa de chawala tene de chomare and it is you get what wrong you get what de chomare So all sentient beings have experienced happiness before, and how does this experience of happiness comes from? And it comes from cause, right? So what cause is it? It is from a virtuous cause. So the experience of happiness of all sentient beings arises from virtuous cause. So if it is a virtue, then it must be the enlightened activities of a Buddha. So it must be the Buddha's enlightened activities. as long as it is a virtue, it is necessarily Buddha's enlightened activities. That's why just now we said the nature of enlightened activities is wholesome actions.
Then you can reply what people do it on the thinking is in the Biwa Yoma, you can sing Yoga Yoma. Me done the Yoma, let's say, Sinji is in the Biwa Yoma, you can speak it so on the Yoma is. You are individual, you are no Yoma is not what. That there was what they know, there was the issue of that. The other one that give you what you can get. So it was give you what you can get. It was what you 그래서 이게 대화사 말을 내가 대화시로 이게 뭐게 있어 이게 무슨 무슨 거와 그래서 나 등기기 나 배대화 좀 많이 비슷히 들어야 내 상태가 틀리 맞아 비슷히 들어야 돼 와
성격이 틀리 맞게 봐 그래서 지워야 가는 뭐 못 좋아
나 대화 좀 많이 비슷히 들어야 돼 나니까 신지 인신질라 대화 좀는 뭐해 대화 좀 유비我现在对军事效果呀，甚至影响起来，比较用我们从那个军事搞的效果呀，
从出军事效果，
用牛的也是，
啊 ，OK，
但是用牛买那个用军事效果的是，哇。
So, so to clarify this, so I will asking you a questions and clarify this explanation. So as long as one is a sentient being, or as long as one is a sentient being, maybe it's easier to form these questions. 심진이나 대화 용용의 요를
대화 토용 잡으려 우리 대화 토용 같이 대화 토 많이 게 쓰지 얼마 와서
대화 용이나 되게로 맞아. Yeah, so it's maybe easier to form the questions in this way. Does any sentient beings have not experienced happiness before? Have any sentient beings not experienced happiness before? Yeah. So the first question was, has any sentient beings not experienced happiness before? Yeah, has any sentient beings not experienced happiness before? Then Geshe-la will ask another question. Has any sentient beings not gained happiness before? Then if you say yes or no, then you also need to provide a reason. The question. So has any sentient being not experienced happiness before? Or has any sentient beings not gained happiness before? So maybe you can maybe you can say mosquito, or maybe you can say ants, or anything as an example that to illustrate that someone has not experienced happiness before, such as then if you say, for example, if you say ants or mosquito, then you have to provide a reason why that this ant or this mosquito has not experienced happiness before.
William, can I try?
Yes.
Margaret here. William, try or Margaret?
Huh?
William or Margaret?
Whoever, yeah.
Okay, Margaret here, I try.
Yeah,
sentient beings have definitely experienced, sentient beings do experience happiness because they are taken rebirth as a human precious human rebirth. Like for me, I will say that, yes, I did experience happiness before. That's why I have this precious human rebirth.
Mm.
And if supposing you say that sentient beings never experienced happiness before?
Huh?
Yeah,
so that is the question. So that is the question. So has any
fine.
sentient not experienced happiness before?
Oh, your
Hello?
question is
Has any sentient being not experienced happiness before? Yeah. If my question wasn't clear, so now please allow me to clarify. Has any sentient being not experienced happiness before? Or has any sentient being not gained happiness before?
I would say no. The question is no, because we had many lives before, so it's always sentient beings born as humans and not animals. That means it show one lifetime they've experienced happiness.
Yeah, so that means there is no sentient being who has not experienced happiness before, right? So it means that all sentient beings have experienced experience happiness before. Sentient 대화 통용 요래 대화 용용 요래사 ini ante sembien yimba tang 대화 용 마용에 나 지요 말이스 저니 요 말이스
대화 통용 주제 가르스 유지시 요
yeah. So and then why then what is the reason to show to say that they have gained happiness before, they have experienced happiness before?
Right.
What is your reason for saying so?
I would say so because, like, taking me for example, okay, I'm born as a human being, not a precious one, but a human being. So I have had happiness before, to have done some good virtues to be born as a human. So I would say every sentient being had happiness before. Am I saying right?
Yeah, 심신탐지의 대화 용용요래 빼나 차시나 나이나 이니가 대한 미 개와 될 레마이스 이니디 양 가서 미누 림부치 마임 민나 양 이니 대한 미 바데 케바이스 이니양 대wan 대 용요바스 이니디 대wan 용바데 양 용기 대화라 테네 대wan 용
그럼 그 정말 아주 대화 토시와는 아주 그 대화기라 사바티는 대화 또 무엇을 듣는 식으로 그 대화기 사바티는 대화 코 뭐지 하여튼 뭐 많이 그 대화할 때는 대화서는 아주 그 대화할 때는 그거 그 대화
제단이 콩이 레이나 디야
코단다 대화요 그 수가 말아 대화 토하기 해বে 좀 정보들 느끼는 거 로저 딱 정보들 느끼거든 대화 여러 대화 토하기 아마도 선지에 소차 요소 봐 대화 토 용구에서 이 다이 공시와 대화 토 용구 많은 게 지요 말해서 대화 토 용구에 장로서 대화 토 누비 나 대화 토 누비 준생지 가르에서 하여튼 나쁜 못 정말에 나 대화 토 용구로 와 하여튼 그거잖아 못 정말에 내가 나도 대인 못 정말인데 나 대화 토 용구로 와 그 대화 토바도 저 개화지가 된 프로그램 대화 계속 신고 그래서 와
네, 김생 가르에
가르에서 정말에 대화 토 용기 준생 가르에서
Yeah, so you have said that you as an example that you have experienced happiness before, then you're born as a human being, even though it's not necessarily a precious one. Then Geshe-la wants to let you know that you're experiencing happiness because you're able to meet with. You're able. Yeah, so due to past virtues, past virtues that you have accumulated, definitely you have accumulated such virtues. Therefore, you are able to bond as a human and meet these holy teachings, and these are able to study those great texts and so forth. So I'm talking about like any creatures, like for example, any creatures such as an ant. So you already established that there is no any sentient being. There isn't any sentient being who has not experienced happiness before, right? So then, Yeah, then how so then let's say an end. So you no need to I mean you definitely is based on you're able to born as a human, then definitely you have accumulated virtues before and extensive virtues before, therefore you are able to born as a human and meet this holy teaching. And how about an end? So an end
yes,
has an end experienced happiness before?
I would say so, because it is the karma, it is that once the karma, the negative karma is exhausted, they have an opportunity to be up again. Because it's so many lifetimes and more. I could be an ant before, I could be anything else before to be a human being. So it is like an ant, could have, I mean, an ant to have happiness, to be an ant, to have the joy and happiness. I'm thinking if they eaten the sugar, taking the sugar, there's complete happiness there.
And that happiness is how to say just now we also mentioned that is from a virtuous cause.
Yes, for virtuous cause, but I'm looking into the end's lifespan, once it's exhausted, you can never know what they're born to next time, But what activities they've done, the virtues they've done during it's been an end, Maybe they won't go and harm something else, Don't come and bite me, anything else.
So you're talking about the experience that they experience certain happiness, such as when they eat sugar and so forth, and that is a kind of happiness as well.
There's joy, yeah. But not, But then not harming the virtues. They're talking the virtues to end up with happiness, happiness that lead to good virtues, right?
And then through not harming sentient beings, then they will experience happiness. Then you also mentioned that once their negative karma exhausted, then they will have the opportunity to be born in the higher realm again.
Yeah.
Because many lifetimes before, right? So definitely they have experienced happiness before, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah. So I will explain the Geshe-la. Ini dia Budroma ina tiang nga dewa di tungyung yuresa. Ini di Budroma ina yang ini di se di pina chashana chimakara di sawa ina yang dewa da di le resa. Ini di kona laba ini di gyu dewa le di kibe dewa gyu gewa le kibe dewa denso. Ini di kong yang di laba yudo. Budroma ina di Budroma ina ina yang ini di susu sabe di pa di sewa ina. Ini yang kata tiang ngun ho da bo ni tiang ki re sa ta ni di oma me ban ne ni tiang so de ke wa ling yo ro che na ni ki wa me ka thong wa me ban ne ki wa ling wa na ten ten la ni kong su la ling ngun do la ki ya yo re de wa nyu yo re
저런 거는 간단하게 내가 보겠어. 이나 이 양대 또 양자지 땅나 땅스만 고치 그러지. 나 저런 거 있잖아. 내가 보겠어. 예. 내가 보겠어. 땅이 양자지 좋아지 땅 좋아질 땐 상상 고치.
Yeah. So so in general, your answer is good. So then, I would like to ask you another questions to make us, to make us a better understand.
Okay. Okay.
땅이 좋아지를 땅 상상 고치만 고치는 거에서 성을 다 그랬어.
Yeah. So I will ask another questions, so that we will better understand all this.
Okay.
I'm very clear.
Okay.
생기 신체라 또世界的만남에 보다 지와랑 많은 게 여러 가지 말이야.
생기 신체라.
또世界的만남에 봐도 지와랑 많은 게 여러 가지 말이야. 나 두어 들었다는 하고를 그랬어. 그런데 또世界的만남에 봐도 여러 봐도 지와랑 많은 생기 여러 가지 여러 말이야. 이 얘기는 이 요 말했어.
지와랑
많은 게
지와랑
또世界的만남에 봐도 참아대 대단 도시의 마신이로 와. 되는 또 시스템의 만남이 봐도 거라지는 지와랑 많은 게 승지 지에 요래서다 이요 말했습니다. 요 말와 당이 정확히 랭이 제자 요 말에서 내가 토뇽이 된다다 간이 되는데 다다 하고 내가 토뇽받아 볼까데 그래서 도와드려서 오가는 이또 시스템의 만남이 봐도 지와랑 많은 게 승지 강지 요 말에서 이 요래서 이 잡아 도와는 있겠네. 내는 이제 요 말에서 또 시제는 만남에 보다 지와랑 많은 게 시제更有 말했어. 아니 요래서는 요 말에서 니 해제서로 와. 레들라다는 총 신지는 대화 통용배 내가
So this question is, as long as one is a sentient being, has anyone is a, yeah, I mean yeah, if we go through the proper translation, is a bit difficult to understand. At least my language is limited. Therefore, so I will make it easier to understand. As any sentient being not taken rebirth in the highest in the peak of existence, and down to the unrelenting hell, as any sentient being not taken rebirth yeah, in the peak of existence down to the unrelenting hell.
No.
So means, yeah. So yeah, so has any sentient being not taken rebirth in the peak of existence down to the unrelenting hell? Then the answer is no. Exactly what you said. The Shara also say that answer is no. So through this question and answer, has any sentient beings not taken rebirth in the peak of existence, which is the highest point in samsara, and down to the unrelenting hell, which is the lowest point of samsara? So has anyone not taken rebirth in the peak of existence down to the unrelenting hell? Then the answer is no. So through this question and answer, then you will be able to understand that all sentient beings have experienced happiness before. All sentient beings have gained happiness before. So do you
have gained what? Have gained what?
Gain happiness, yeah.
Happiness, okay.
To gain happiness, yeah.
Yeah.
Not yeah. So all sentient beings. So through these, then you will be able to understand, or you'll be able to induce the understanding of all sentient beings have experienced happiness before, or all sentient beings have gained happiness before.
어떤 곳에 살았으는데 선지인은 여와토 용발을 두어들라 하고 살았으니
Yeah, so through these, then I'm sure that you all have understand that all sentient beings have experienced or gained happiness before.
Gain happiness. Yeah. I would say gain happiness.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a question anymore. The answer yeah, I mean, through these, then you'll be able to understand that all sentient beings have experienced before.
Okay.
In other words, is they have gained happiness before.
Yes. Good.
Yeah.
제가 진세에 제가 저기 나사하고 살았어. 진세가 이나. 내 처음에 나사 은이지나 때 이제 니 세볼어서디 제가 하고 가는 거래. 니 상업디스 땅이 있어 저 들어와. 이나 디스 보다 트라치드. 다 나서 대화 토 누구래? 신지지 대화 메지와라야 만냐메 냐와리니 손에 와 마시 냐와래. 냐와를 제만 누게 신지 지요 말해서 요 말해서 이제 제사. 또 시제네 마. 꼬라지네. 시제는 막 제만 누게 제어다 제요 말해서 안토 시제를 제자비 하이 공부를 더 살고 하 뭐뭐 지어내서 하이 공부 뭐뭐 더 살. 하이 공부 뭐뭐 더 살이 더 대화 표에 이래서다. 하이 공부 더 살이 하이 대화 때 로통타 뭐뭐 대화 전에 대화라고 연발잖아. 띵인지 보네. 오, 띵인지 보네 때 대화 로통타 뭐뭐 때 링배 하이 대화 전에 대화. 그래서 공부 더 많이 게 생기 지요 말해서 그 시즌이 되게 러야 좋았던 데래. 하이 공부 더 차이 신제라 대화 더 차래. 더 용차래. 하이 공부 더 차리. 그때 답에 너무 먼 것들에 그때는 이제 넘바잖아. 대화 원내 기타 뭔거야. 어 뒤에서다 당이 자기 좀 한번 도와도 돈이 어떤 처리도 돼야 될 텐데 되와. 대화 더 많이 게 지요 말하시나 공부 더 많이 게 신제 지요 말 텐데 도도 돼.
So the question is, being a sentient being a sentient being, has any sentient beings not taken rebirth in the highest point of peak of existence and the lowest point of hell? Then the answer is no, right? So through these, then you're able to induce the understanding that all sentient beings have has taken rebirth even in the peak of existence, and this peak of existence is a God realm, right? So it's a God realm. So all sentient beings have been born in the God realm before. So all sentient beings have born in God realm before. So when they were born in God realm, then they experience the happiness. They experience the happiness of the God. Like for example, those God, when they enter into meditative civilization, then they experience bliss and so forth, right? So those are happiness. So means that through these questions, has any sentient beings not taken rebirth in the peak of existence down to lowest hell before? Then if you then the answer is no, right? So all sentient beings have taken rebirth in peak of existence down to lowest hell before. So through this, then you will be able to understand, especially those who know how to debate, then they are able to understand that. And through just these questions, they are already able to understand that all sentient beings have experienced before. There is no sentient beings have not experienced before. So because all sentient beings have born in have been born in God realm before. Yeah. So like for example, the first dhyana, second dhyana, form realms, formless realm, and so forth. So all sentient beings have been born in those realms before. So when they were born in those particular realm, then they experience the happiness of God, for example. So when they enter into meditative stabilization, then they experience bliss and so forth. So means that all sentient beings have experienced happiness before.
근데 단단히 쉬어야 돼. 그 상지의 분위기 시고 그래서 상지의 분위기 마치면 신지지요 말에 상하고 단단 쉬어야 돼.
심진 이진리
상지의 분위기
심진 탐지
그거를 마시면 지요 말에
심진 탐지 교라
기타도 빌려 주디 그래서 이래서 그 차고에 제가는 신지 탐지에 대화 토만이 그지요 말에서 대화 토만이 그지요 말 찹제래서 대화 토만이 그지요 찹제선자 대화 같은 경우에는
심진 상기 이진리 심진 탐지 교라 슈데 요래 야나 캡데 요래 김진데야 심진
심지 탐지 와토
통용
와토 대화대 토뉴바데 대화대 쭉 가라니 지금 그 배워야 그 배워대 상기대 얘기했어. 그 배워대 상기 트레이스. 개화대 상기대 돼. 오들. 내가 좀 된다 시야를 들이다. 지금 이거라고 정선이 더 땅에 된다 들이 상기 트레이스 와.
So why did I ask these questions is it is related to the point that I mentioned just now. Buddha's enlightened activities operates in the continuums of all sentient beings. In other words, Buddha's enlightened activities pervades the continuum of all sentient beings. So why do I say so? The reason to establish this is because all sentient beings have experienced happiness before. And how does this happiness comes from or arise from? Then they arise from a virtuous cause. They arise from virtuous cause. So therefore, virtues over so all virtues are enlightened, the Buddha's enlightened activities. So all virtues are Buddha's enlightened activities. So remember just now we talked about the nature of enlightened activities are wholesome actions, right? So to establish this point. Yeah. So we have briefly gone through the seven actualities. So we will revisit seven actualities at the given context or at the appropriate context, in an appropriate context. So then we come to this verse number 2. So it lower actually. Sawa the lower. Ishla tambuluge.
Yeah. Now, thinking gender was oriented to use German door. Nation, yes, Rijati, she never did judge you are less, below Chinua, but I didn't matter.
So the verse number 2, he says, these seven are presented by way of their characteristics and order. Following the questions of King Dharani Svara Sutra, the first 3 points should be known from the introduction, and the later 4 points from the divisions of the intelligent one and the victors.
I did a market dealer and another, and sit into Divi, the danger the master, then sit in the Tanga, as Moshes are Sanjay can't choose smart by you are. That then sit into the danger the Ranzuchi Bareva, in the Jason on it, is still the watch about Matua. Ranzoriga, so Ranzoriga, that Kinji Jesus anima. Somebody else, it did that you deliver. So Maris, he Tina Matiba, so the hungry cigar race, or Maris, but then Zogi never was Gilga, race, Maris, then sit demoted. My image in Second, then sit demoted. Because who you want to jump in dollar, somebody, he just done it, somebody else. They just done it, injured somebody, Mato, injured the Ranzo, Maris,
So regarding the doubt as to whether this treatise on the 7 points is unfounded or whether it sources itself somewhere. So this text abandons the fault of self-fabrication because the 7 Raja-like points were taught in the Dharani Svara Raja Sutra. Yeah, so there is a doubt here. So he says, so whether this treatise refer to this text. Then on the 7 points, so 7 points, we have gone through these 7 points before, such as the 3 duals, basic element, and so forth. So this treatise on the 7 points, is it baseless? So unfounded means that it is self-fabricated. Is it self-fabricated or is it sources itself somewhere? So means that it is based on something, based on a source, based on a text and so forth. Whether is it based or is it baseless? So is it self-fabricated or is it based on something, based on a text? Then to abandon the fault of self-fabrication, so means that it is not self-fabricated because this text or this treatise is based on Dharani Svara Raja Sutra. So the 7 points mentioned in this text is in the Dharani Svara Raja Sutra. So it is not self-fabricated.
Well, that day, once you do want to do it, and that's what was it. He just on it, into the Zombadema, the thing that was on my answer to Sora. I don't know if that's something you want to do it. Can you just want to watch that? It was at least so this enough. Some which want to do it. Good, important. Okay, no one be ranching. This that's the boy you are. When you bought it, when you need the body, another 2 months you're looking by this. And you didn't that was in it. But 간다. 빈식 이거 여버치. 빈식
양식이 있어야 돼요.
그런 것도 얘기와 이게다 나도 이 인보데 말이면 소소 이거 여버치 뭐 매가지 말이게 말씀과 이거 빈식 이거 맞아. 빈식 이거 여버치 우리 둘이 때 그래서 우리 둘이 때나데 빈식 이거 여버 우리 때 야라면 와 이거 매가 비지 우리 자기 때요. yes, 지금 보는 게 좋아.这次的电影哇，这次的剧了，这次的电影拿去那不是电影也是，这就是不是。
Yeah. So this treatise is composed based on the Dharani Svara Raja Sutra and is not a self-fabrication. So then he says the sutra teaches the unique nature of the Buddhas and so forth, and thereby presents the 7 by way of their characteristics. So how does this Dharani Svara Raja Sutra teaches? Then this sutra teaches that the unique nature of the Buddhas and so forth. So Buddhas and so forth refers to the 7 Vajra points or the 7 actualities. So it teaches the unique nature of the Buddhas and so forth. So unique nature also, in other words, is the unique qualities of the Buddhas and so forth, and thereby presents the 7 by way of their characteristics in a linear order. So in a linear order means that the order is is taught in a mutually related way. So it's a correlated way. Yeah. So the order of these 7 points, 7 Vajra points, are taught in a mutually related or correlated manner.
我他这个这些点么拿心都有是定下来的，是那个话，我就这些点么拿心都定下来，俺都一起搞了一点的，我嘛主要了解的话，都一起搞了一点是呢，俺连续个 level 定的，连续个 level 呢，也不工作是定嘛的，是吧？连续 level 呢，也不工作是，他们现在那个老点长久性的矿主些主持点就搞了，都一起的，看到矿主些主持点我的，这点了呢，矿点开是，是吧？点了呢，矿点了是。 자와 양다와 집에 산지 주주주와 템발에 내 창주 가서봐 안도 인간 중에서 그래서 같이 또 지도 저런 땡겨 그래서 무슨 그 말이 땡겨라면 나도 땡지디 아서 말에 아서 그냥 봐야 된다 되는다 아서 말에 두서 아 너는 땡바 나시시 말이 마노아 땡겨 이거 그래서 맞긴 그래 맞아 무슨 미해서
So this treatise is not self-fabricated because these words, this treatise is composed based on Dharani Svara Raja Sutra, and these 7 Vajra points are taught in a linear order, consecutively, and in a continuous manner. So it means that it is taught in a correlated manner or mutually related manner, or mutually relevant or mutually related order, and the order taught in the root verses is in the same fashion. So this manner of teaching in a linear order, in a consecutive order, and in a continuous order that were taught in Dharani Svara Raja Sutra, then these treatises also composed in the same order or in the same fashion, according to how the sutra presented these 7 Vajra points. So regarding which words of the sutra teach which points, the introductory chapter or the prologue chapter of the sutra shows the first 3 points, the 3 resultant jewels, the Buddha Dhamma and Sangha. And as for the remaining 4, the basic element is known from the divisions of 60 attributes that purify the basic element of bodhisattvas. So the basic element is known from these divisions of 60 attributes. And the last 3, enlightenment and so forth, enlightenment quality, excellent qualities and sorted activities or enlightened activities. And these 3 points are shown in the divisions of 80 attributes of complete and perfect Buddhas.
我当然叫点嘛，人家讲的，对吧？的，几百的，对吧？对吧？这什么东西？对，很多人都在是多少人对吧？多少东西？我两家很多的嘛，人家是送对吧？很多的修对吧？很多的修的，那对的，很多的嘛修的，中间这个，我们这个上级的，刚才去可乐过，我们把上级当不去，我们上级，第一就是去可乐过，我去过，第二个是没做，那个他也把名字。 一定要的也是，那别说嘛，他们这些，是吧？在一起的时候，就是说，日本到这个工作说，你如果是你一句，那大把啥说那这个，三级比你告诉，三级工作大把，过别了，就把了，那全工作跟你工作，是吧？跟你工作定，那工作时候你就往这个，那些都是嘛辛苦的，也是嘛，他看到吧？工作时候你那些嘛人吧，没有大的。
加上的路呢？
那
加上罗那地方，
多来了，看起来很多。
那时候
很多一起差不多能不能的，那么些多。
So next time we come to summary. So it says, the Bhagavan has completely, without exception, and manifestly, perceptually awakened to Buddhahood through observing all phenomena in the aspects of their equalness. So first important point is the Bhagavan has manifestly and completely become enlightened. And then he excellently turned the wheel of Dharma. He excellently turned the wheel of Dharma, and he therefore was endowed with limitless, thoroughly disciplined assemblies of disciples. So there are three important points here. So the Bhagavan has manifestly completely become enlightened. He excellently turned the wheel of Dharma, and he therefore was endowed with limitless, thoroughly disciplined assemblies of disciples. So these are the three fundamental phrases of the sutra that show the resultant final three duals. So these are the words from the sutra. So these three fundamental phrases and these 3 points that I mentioned that Vikala mentioned just now. So these three fundamental phrases in the sutra shows the resultant final three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And then one should understand the presentations of the closed causes successively generating the three jewels, which is the three pure grounds. So in order, then they are the imputed Buddha jewel of the 8th ground, the Dhamma jewel of the 9th, so there is no imputed here, so the Dhamma jewel of the 9th, and the Sangha jewel of the 10th ground. So in brief, the meaning of these words in the text means that it shows the cause for accomplishing the ultimate three jewels. So these phrases shows the causes for accomplishing the three ultimate jewels. In other words, this shows the closed causes for accomplishing the three ultimate jewels. So, and it starts from the 8th ground. So you can see here. So it starts from the 8th ground. And on the 8th ground, one will attain 10 powers. So regarding these 10 powers, then I will briefly go through what these 10 powers are. So on the 8th ground, then one will attain 10 powers. And the first power is power over lifespan. The first power is power over lifespan, meaning one will be able to bless one's lifespan as one wishes. So power over lifespan means that one will be able to bless one's lifespan as one wishes. Yeah. And the second power is power over mind. Power over mind. So means that those on the 8th ground will be able to absorb in meditative civilization as one wishes. So meaning those on the 8th ground is able to absorb in meditative civilization as one wishes. In other words, they are able to set in meditative stabilization as one wishes.
我的，那你把送把头啊，那送把有些人往手的人多啊，那有些人往手的，他谁弄弄这老师他本送把那些送把没就吧，这些那边真的也送出去了，很多主要的有些特别把那些说说的都是在心里老泥巴去，是吧？
星期对吧？呢？
我对吧？那些的送把嘛对吧？我这些那是有些人往手。
Next power is power over necessities. Power over necessities. So power over necessities means that one is able to send down rain of wealth, send down rain of wealth, to send down rain of wealth. So to let fall a rain of wealth or to send down rain of wealth. So it means that those on the eighth ground is able to send down a rain of wealth, resources, foods, necessities according to the wishes of sentient beings, without any poverty. So without any lacking, those on the eighth ground is able to send down rain of wealth, resources, foods, and so forth according to the wishes of sentient beings. So one is able to do that, or one is able to bless in that way.
那来了往是对多，那来了往是，但是我们用的就来了呗，那米是吧？我们用的就来，是我们给你吧，给你把它往去。那别的我是苏康，大不呗，用的就来大不苏康呗，同济用的就来大不吧，我们别把了嘛，用的来了那我越给你把有，我在等你东西。现在我们用的就来，我们上我们给你了这些，这个对吧？
Sa uma da pena si sana peba la de yung nu ba. And next, fourth one is power over action. Power over action. So power over action means that those on the eighth ground are able to transform actions that are to be experienced on the higher ground into fruition on the lower ground. So, so power over action. So power over actions means that those on the eighth ground are able to transform actions that are to be experienced on a higher ground into fruition on a lower ground. So it means that they are able to transform those actions to be experienced on a higher ground, such as in the form realm, into fruition or into an experience on a lower ground, such as desire realm. So they are able to transform those actions that are to be experienced on a higher ground into an experience on the lower ground.
那对吧？那来了就听多少，他接完了往是对吧？他喜欢接完往的，他上的人门，在上地的门那吧，对吧？来接完了，比较累你吧。但是这样，放空嘛，对吧？放空嘛，上地的嘛，我们对吧？接回的，这上地行为是你来接回的。
放了3点里，
放空嘛，上地的苏康到不去了，苏康的嘛，我们对吧？接完那把人呢？
苏康3点谈不容易的，但是3点，
上地谈不起的，明白吗？对吧？嘛，接回呢，等你，那些是娘的嘛，接就嘛到，所以说等你那些嘛那不去，都是嘛的事。那是不是接回呢？你看到第等的接回的，国嘛的话，国嘛，上地的把嘛娘接的不行，对吧？嘛接的，你把要吧，你把要不去。
这样我信仰嘛，给我的说，你得当米咯，
我知道，
说给我的说，
是给我的那个，嘛接回的，我们原先的娘的嘛娘吧，我们原先娘，你别比娘我是我的就那么接了。
没有我是的娘你的
娘的你就是娘我
嘛，
做了，你比娘我的做了，我这你比娘我的换了过来，嘛原先做的，
So the next one is power over rebirth. Power over rebirth. So power over rebirth means that those on the eighth grounds are able to take rebirth as one wishes while not degenerating from concentration. I repeat, power over rebirth means that those on the eighth ground are able to take rebirth as one wishes while not degenerating from concentration. So meaning is in general. So so in general, for example, an ordinary being who has who has taken rebirth in the form realms, such as the first dhyana or first concentration, were to take rebirth in the lower realm, such as the desire realm, then they take rebirth in the lower realms through degenerating the actual concentration of higher realm. Let me repeat. In general, as an ordinary being, for example, an ordinary being. So when an ordinary being so an ordinary beings who has taken rebirth in the form realm, such as the first dhyana or first concentration. So an ordinary beings who had taken rebirth in form realm, such as first concentration, were to take rebirth in lower realm, such as a desire realm. Then these ordinary beings will take rebirth in lower realm through the degenerations of the actual concentration of the higher realm. So these ordinary beings takes rebirth in desire realm through the degeneration of the actual concentration of form realm. In this example, so through the degenerations of the actual concentration of higher realm, then the afflictions of the desire realm will manifest. And through the manifestations of the afflictions of the desire realm, then this ordinary being takes rebirth in the desire realm. So it is the same for this example, an ordinary being who had taken rebirth in the higher realm, in the form realm, right? So how does this ordinary being had taken rebirth in the form realm? Then he taken rebirth. So same thing when this ordinary being previously taken rebirth in the form realm, he took his rebirth in the higher realm through attaining the actual concentration of the form realm and abandon the afflictions of the desire realm. Then he took rebirth in the higher realm, in the form realm. So for this ordinary being to take rebirth in the desire realm, so he take rebirth in the desire realm through the degenerations of the actual concentration of higher realm, and then the reflections of the desire realm will manifest. Then this ordinary being takes rebirth in the lower realm.
是的啊，咱没把老王知道啊，没把老王知道啊，是的，那把知道。
不把的。
哦，咱没把老王说的，俺的必须的，没把，刚才看没把的，对吧？大，这现在的心里边没把老王是的，人家心里边该上去的话，该上去的，
没把的话，但他没把，
没把老王的，
那啥了说吧的，
我是啥的，下面上了，我没把，没把大，这现在是你边没把老王是，人家心里。 Debe sala soba, deba mebatar, yede shenibi, mebalawas.
So next one is power over inclination. Power over inclination. So power over inclination means that those on the eighth ground are able to transform into earth and so forth according to the inclinations of the disciples. I repeat. Yeah. So that means that those on the eighth ground are able to transform into earth and so forth according to the inclination of the disciples.
That teaches what the melon wants to do. That vision is the melon condition. I'm never jebaina this to the thing and do. Oh, vision do each other. That vision, do each other. The Kandarwa, vision do each other. Melon condition jebaina, and melon do too much. Do what you do.
So the next one is power over prayers. Power over prayers. So power over prayers means that those on the eighth ground are able to accomplish countless prayers to attain disciples. So however many prayers there are to attain disciples, and they are able to accomplish those countless prayers.
Vision do all the number dance of courage when in the vision they tell in
Next one is power over miracles. Power over miracles or magical emanations. So, and those on the eighth ground are able to display limitless magical emanations to tame disciples. This one is power over miracles or magical emanations. So it means that those on the eighth ground are able to display limitless magical emanations to tame disciples.
What do you want to do? Susu, and about you. If you want the Soyataba, you go to put this one probably. A cheers. Yes,
they tend to Yishiro.
Yishilama.
Yishiro. Chumari.
Yishilama. Yishilama.
This one is not Juni. Soon you're not Juni Mario.
Susu, you got. Yishilama.
Yishilama was Susu Yanda. Oh, that's what I
Yishilama said, that's also Yantaba, you got you to show Toba. I said, that cheers with Yanda. Yes, so what was maybe Tisos as you are. What the deep position of
So then the next one is power over wisdom. Power over wisdom. So power over wisdom means that those on the eighth ground gain the four excellent individual correct knowledges. They gain the four excellent individual correct knowledges. So the four excellent correct individual correct knowledges in meaning, in dharma, in languages or words, and in eloquence. I repeat. So those on the eighth ground gain the four excellent individual correct knowledges in meaning, dharmas, languages or words, and in eloquence.
What do you want to know? That's all I have to tell you. The Sora is not doing but Kamijuna, the other thing you must say.
Sooner can't do it.
Yeah.
And the last one is power over dharma. Power over dharma. So those on the eighth ground are able to teach the 12 branches of scriptures as one wishes. So basically, I repeat, those on the eighth ground are able to teach 12 branches of scriptures as one wishes. So it means that whatever teachings the disciple wishes, then they are able to teach, give the teaching to the disciples.
What does it? I want to say, Jeba told it. When I want you to know that other person, you got your book. I have a project. I do. When you try that, yes, to be a share of another. Juja, Observer Tattoo. We are to the Sanji Kubatua. That's not the
And did Duja they told you tattoo?
그게 타도를 kunjo서 그와 배가 되는가 이게 그 그래서 그래야 얘기를 쓰고 와 그 얘기들은 사 제반에 되게 사 제반에 원주 또 얘기지 때 간다 얘기를 샤 있어.
So these 10 powers are great abilities, and this as a 사계바된 얘기로. So and this eighth ground is taken. This eighth ground is a close cause that acts to attain the ultimate objects of attainment, which is the three jewels.
다사 고발 마샤로 되는 마시로 다사 고바들 간다니 어디 사 고바 토우디 메신지 탄지지 상비 있어 보다 내가 간지 대신 했어 이제 정말 그런 거 보시면 원본 바로 원본 초고 바로 드시면 그때 저기서 원본 초고 바로 드시면 또 그거 메신지지 영업이 맞아 그와 영업을 맞아 공화마다 심하게 창조와 간리인가 그래서 한번 봐 그따와 이거 힘있게 개봐 와, 근데 순간 약간다 뒤에서 고바 가서 간다. 나도 잡아야 돼. 무슨 좋아.
심신 탐지기 뭐 시에바다 왕보 시에바라
주로시.
거기 바로 드시면
저다 왕보
심진이 왕보
진짜기 또. 왕보 초도 좀. 왕보 초도 좀. 약간 왕보에서 그 간디냐 그 왕보 아리 털리나 봐. 내가 시에도 마치. 심지 영어도 바뀌었대 봐. 나도 한국이야. 사실 말 눈이 좋아.
심진기 영몽로
영어 공화다. 사교와 아니 이게 모두 정말 개발죠.
님보리
원념을 이게 저 개발. 그래서
and then on the ninth ground, so those on the ninth ground knows well the mental inclinations of all sentient beings, and then oneself. So those on the eighth ground, so they become they become of supreme faculties, supreme sense powers, or supreme faculties. So those on the eighth ground themselves, they become of supreme faculties or supreme sense powers, and and those on the ninth ground, sorry, not eighth ground. So those on the ninth ground, and then they become skilled in applying antidotes in order to eliminate the imprints of afflictions in the continuum of sentient beings. So those on the ninth ground, they become skilled in teaching antidotes to the imprints of afflictions in sentient beings. Then they become they know well the connections of past and previous imprints of afflictions of sentient beings, and they are skilled in teaching antidotes to those sentient beings. So the last point I repeat, those on the ninth ground, they know well the connections between the past and previous imprints of afflictions of sentient beings, and they are skilled in teaching antidotes to eliminate those imprints.
내가 안다 개발 좀 대이시 이제 데이터에 딱 안다 뒤져라. 근데 왠지 뭐 데이터에 딱 안에 되고 뭔가 더 봤으면 이제 치치 그러는 거 아직 이러와.
아까 그 괜찮지 않니? 데이터죠?
이제
dependo
상기를 치치 그러는 거 아직.
그래서 두자 펜도라라. 가올라.
대화로 마다. 원래 대화로
근데 괜찮지 않니? 네 두자 펜도바. 두자 라니 상기니.
얘가 que tengo a mí que la que para mí no tengo nada bastante parece todo ahí y seguro va ya que se dio va casa sin ji con la sin estaba que chete y ya la mucho va el que te a mí que se ji con va mucho con la
So, and then based on this reason, then oneself knows well the mental inclinations of all sentient beings, become skilled in antidotes and so forth, and then become manifestly and completely enlightened, and turn the wheel of Dharma for the sake of disciples.
那第一就是我是就把是吧？就把那第一句那去加上的话，是吧？第一句那就把了大可能去加上的跟对吧？是理解呢，我都是那我吧。就把第一次，就把第一句那去加上的话，我嘛这上去这方面应该都把经过吧，你们第一句呢，这方面我经过也是，别了这看到，那去过来我
老师比较考虑，你在你好，我在，
是吧？就把的，那就把的呢，就把你去把那去表达的，当然了，第一句把不啥的，你实际上可能去表达的忘过，他妈的这上去忘过的这上去就不吧，是吧？上去他妈的这上去是再挂之类，你就不把它经过这个，还是去表达忘过的，你把经过这个对吧？你这个去过了来吧，还是对吧？
Yeah. So what Geshe-la explained just now is in these paragraphs. So just now mentions about how say he will attain mastery over destroying the connections between the former, later moments of similar type of the obscurations to omniscience of all sentient beings, the imprints of the afflictions. So his explanation, Geshe-la's explanation is on this, and therefore, when attaining the state of the one who excellently turns the wheel of Dharma, one will ultimately attain the state of the one who is endowed with limitless, thoroughly disciplined disciples. This is due to the fact that when attaining the 10th ground, immediately upon having been conferred the status of Supreme Dharma Region of the Tathāgata, then one will attain the spontaneous and unbroken stream of enlightened activities of a Buddha. So the meaning of a spontaneous and unbroken stream of enlightened activities will be explained later on. Geshe-la 당긴 가사된 두자기 가는 요몽기 바자 나치게 참자와된 소니 디사고발라 디토기로 이 사주발라 아니 대한 가서 추기게 삽디 토기로 yeah that's all. So this is the explanations on the 9th ground, and then this is the explanations on the 10th ground. So one becomes the Dharma region of the Tathāgata and so forth.
我到底看到为什么这个话，到把你点来下子是吧？
That's all. So I will stop here. If you have any questions, then you can ask now. Yes.
The listing of the 10 powers mentioned just now on the 8th ground, Buddha jewels in the 8th ground. The 10 powers are a bit different from the 10 powers of the Buddha. Is 10 powers in the 8th ground Buddha jewel different from 10 powers of the Buddha?
What is your 10 powers of the Buddha? Can you name the first one?
10 powers of the Buddha listed in the gate.
Or of knowing what is possible and what is not possible, right? The first one is it?
Of great liberation, Buddha know the karma. Buddha know what's possible, not possible, maturation of karma.
The first one, yeah.
Other beings' inclination, worldly constituent, higher, lower power of being, past to lead to all places, thoroughly afflicted mind, purification, recollection of previous life, transfer of death and birth, and then contamination are associated. This in the Great Liberation Sutra, everybody should have page 169, the note. It's different, quite a little different from what Buddha, what Geshe-la just mentioned. I'm just wondering, because this is 8th ground. What is 8th ground Buddha jewel and the 11th ground Buddha jewel, are they different?
但係呢，其實啦，等等啊，所以望住啲線嘛，望住當督住啲企劃可以拿，但是呢，督住那點，你睇這個督住那點，你睇內面看別多，你那麼面別，面別看別多嘅數咯，你睇你啲督住當，等等殺幾話嘅，望住啊，殺住幾話，殺住幾別督住啲企劃可以拿，
都就是我的我的三级能可能吧，就是等等我做的忘记是我的讲的是别把看到个，就是我的能记就没有写了，还是三级是来下过，
能記
就是哈，能记就写哪了，能记就没写哪了，这那个到习惯记得了，到习惯能记就写哪， 남지 신앙을 시
남기 신앙기.
남지 신앙을 시
디 상기 살아샤요.
그 상지 살아야 샤고
나니 가서 왕주세 데리 사기 바로 자주 셈바 사기 봐.
사 제법 그 토론 거 있어 그래서
자주 셈바 된 줄.
재밌어
사기 봐.
토론 있어
So yeah, so this is a bit in terms of English words. So both can be translated as 10 powers. So the 10 powers that we are talking here in this context refers to those 10 powers gained by those who are on the eighth ground. And when you talk about the 10 powers in the Great Liberation Sutra, that for example, the first one is the power of knowing what is possible and what is not possible and so forth. Then if we would, and it can be also translated as 10 powers as well, as it was translated in the Great Liberation Sutra. So however, to differentiate these two, so because even if I search in the dictionary, they both also translated as 10 powers. However, when we talk about this, in terms of translation, English translation, so based on the text that we have learned before, so when we talk about the power of knowing what is possible and what is not possible, then this 10 powers was translated as 10 strengths. 10 strengths. Yeah. So to differentiate these two, even though both can be translated as 10 powers, so the powers that we are talking today in this context, for now, then I would prefer to use the word 10 powers. And then the powers that is mentioned in the Great Liberation Sutra, then based on the text that we have learned before, like for example, we learned about the fourth chapter, the ornament for clear realization, then these 10 strengths are the knower aspects of an omniscient. They are the knower aspects of an omniscient. And if we were to proceed its boundaries, then it is proceeded only on the Buddha ground. So based on that translations, then I use the word 10 strengths. So yeah, so besides these 10 strengths, four fearlessnesses, and 18 unique qualities and so forth, then those are presented as the knower aspects of an omniscient, and then they are only, and its boundary is on Buddha ground only. So to differentiate these two, then when we say 10 powers, then 10 powers referred, as it today in this context, when we talk about the power of over a lifespan and so forth, then I would use 10 powers. And then when we say the power of knowing what is possible and what is not possible, then I would use the term 10 strengths to differentiate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these 10 powers is are attained by those on the eighth ground, by those bodhisattvas on the eighth ground, and these 10 strengths are only presented on the Buddha ground. You can refer to the fourth chapter of Ornament for Clear Realizations, and the explanation is there.
In that case, why is Buddha jewel already in 8th ground when it's Bodhisattva? Why Dharma in the 9th ground? Why Sangha in the 10th ground?
Originally, the Sakyavala Sangi Guncho, the Sha, and the Sakuvala Chu Guncho, and the Sakjuvala Gendun Guncho, Shabikum Zindi.
You shall also river Hatu Guncho Twala, Sat Jabata, the Sanji Gunjo Taba was showing Sanji Gunjo Chawa.
In the Guncho,
Ribu Gunjo Tatu de Twala, and so need you. You got a kana. No, you're soon the Jaya. Well, Tony, what is it?
Tibu Guncho Tatu de Tola, anything Yegu, Yegu Chanisha,
Ribu Tatu and Ribu Gunjo. Tatu and Ribu Gunjo Twala, yes, sir. 이 내지는 가서就是每个新这个赛的玩家我的，但是赛季我的三级棍就打爆嘛的，三级棍的成绩没有嘛，是吧？
萨吉巴，
赛季把三级棍就打爆了，是吧？三级棍打爆嘛，成绩不那个嘛，但全棍就的领地棍就那个成绩不那个，是吧？赛季不把全棍就的，这个其实
就把
就把的领地棍就都这样，那么对待其实有吧？
谨慎地按研究没
我跟你就我是一个是。
Yeah. So why do we say?
当我写吧的嘛，就被他都跟这个工就是逃跑了，这当我那一个就是什么的，那一个就是什么的话，头下个他就跟这个工就是逃跑了，他把他看的，他都工就是忙一把，他说啊，让他头下工就是也来什么当的，你就工就是也来什么当，那第一个是没是教的，他都工就是好当的人，你的就当你的信任我的也是。
你跟就送他，那你第三给我就把点你跟就送，你跟就送，那你的可是的这这部他都得跟就送出来给切入了，
你就没啥。
So basically, these 8th, 9th, and 10th rounds, they are close causes for generating the three jewels. Here you can see that they are close causes for successively generating the three jewels. So 8th ground, 9th ground, and 10th ground, they are the close causes for attaining the three resultant jewels. They are the close causes for attaining the three resultant jewels. And the 8th ground itself is an imputed Buddha jewel. The 8th ground itself is so from this from the perspective of close causes, then the 8th ground itself is an imputed Buddha jewel. It is not a fully qualified Buddha jewel. And the 9th ground itself is a fully qualified Dharma jewel, and the 10th ground itself is a fully qualified Sangha jewel. So from the perspective of being the close causes to attain the three resultant jewels, therefore, the 8th, 9th, and 10th grounds are named. The 8th ground itself is the imputed Buddha jewel. The 9th and 10th grounds are the Dharma and Sangha jewel.
我要听有，我听到有啊。我给你讲的了，就这么就不能多的，我这个就没出事，给你都没事的。要把它理不对，你这个来说，你就把它，他可能有点那么是可能没经验些，出面，那这个可能不是应该对吧？这个来说，或者这个你其他，咱里有都可以忙的在这样做，你都多呀，我，但就比那个来说，这没有，去电影院，这场我建议是。
So today we stop here. We conclude with dedication. We dedicate the roots of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma, to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teaching, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long, to have excellent health, and may all their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all directions. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Gyaltsab Darma Rinchen. May the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche live eons long, their excellent health, and may all Rinpoche's enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all directions. We also dedicate these roots of virtue for world peace, and may excellent happiness prevail in the world. May wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster, pandemic, diseases be pacified immediately. Ikewa di tendang duwa kun la tang tendang seba jiten lo gan sama yi timbe rinpo rinpo se che shu chanchu sencho rinpo che ma che pa nang ki che pa nyam pa te ma yang po ne kondo me wa shu kyabe tang wi chi tang chen pa tang kondo sambo ne yang te shin de ra kun ke je so da lo che ke wa di da tang che ra tu ho che du ju be lam chi sen se se kan den den de chan na pe mo ten che kya so la so wa de ke de de do shu ne kan de ma li ne ju
成为上辈
各
各类
类准备
准备电子
电子感
感到了
到了说话
说话的时候，就这个说，这一
被这些
点
人是这个因为我们的人我们是当为大看这个这个的话我们为啥了说话的并不是为的这个因为我们的人的话这个上面的感情的这个的话我们为啥了说话的并不是这个这个是这个经过我们这边的话就是上面的这个这个是为什么嘛为啥了说话的并不是
因为这边我讲的地方呢，就是上一代环境的这些东西，去了说的这就是这边这边我们是的，不光就是上一代环境的这个我们是看的。这个这个我觉得还挺好，这个是个我们这看到说的这个
经过我们这边的话就是上面的感情的沙达说话的到美国微信吧的可以当给我黄绿成为你天天是我电视感对小比世界八度电影